You're listening to RTI Audio, powered by Rocky Top Insider. This is Pancakes and Bacon with VFL, Kyler Kerbyson, and Reed Bacon.
Hello, Vol Nation. Welcome to another episode of Pancakes and Bacon. I'm your host, as always, Kyler Kerbyson, joined with Reed Bacon. Got another great one. We're getting more and more excited about the season coming up. I got a chance to go to the scrimmage this past weekend, so we're going to be talking about that, updating the little things, and just really getting pumped. And then before we get into any of that, if you guys are watching, please like, subscribe, notification bell. If you're listening, rate and review, download and re-download those on all those listening platforms really helps us, and follow us on social media. Before we jump into all the good, juicy stuff that we're going to talk about, Reed, how we doing, bud?
What's up, brother? What's up, brother?
Long time no see.
Long time no see. Yeah. I mean, you did leave my house bright and early at like 6:30 this morning. I can't say I saw you then, but I did see you yesterday and last night.
Right.
We'll go ahead and start this pod by just saying I loved how Cam Ward looked, and I think we're going to be Super Bowl champs.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wait. Sorry. Wrong podcast.
Yeah, there's a Tennessee podcast, but not that Tennessee podcast.
Yeah. No, great weekend. Awesome weekend. I truly, I've said it a bunch of times on here, I truly don't really have anything that I regret in life, and I'm very fortunate to be like, man, there's not many things I wish would have been different. But if I do allow my brain and myself to go down that avenue, which I did last night when I was in the shower, and I was like, dude, it sucks that I literally graduated college, moved to Nashville, was there for 4.5 years. He's here, and then basically as I moved back here, you're there. Yeah. And it's like a sick little joke because I truly do feel like we would see each other so much more, whether it was watching games together or just recording a podcast together, because then we're together and get to see each other hang out, quick lunches during the week, golf, of course, and just different stuff. But it just makes those times when you come in like that much more special. And it was awesome because this weekend was like all Kyler all the time. You were just with us, the whole time. So it was great. I also, you are extremely quiet and nimble for a big fella, because Megan and I did not hear you leave at all this morning.
That's right, baby.
I kind of woke up.
Dancing bear, baby.
Big time dancing bear. I woke up and heard a little bit, and I was like, oh wait, do I need to get up to help him with anything or anything like that? And then of course my other voice was like, no, dude, this bed's so comfortable. Unless he says unless he texts me he needs something, he's got this. Yeah, and so I immediately fell back asleep and then woke up, and you were back in Nashville already.
Good. So, I did not want to wake you up. I wanted you guys to sleep. I was hoping that you would not wake up. And you're correct. I would have texted you if I needed you to be up.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know we did the different stuff last night of getting your stuff that you needed and all that, so that in the morning you could just dip. But then, of course, I knew I would wake up and go into the living room, and everything was perfectly folded. It looked like no one had ever been there. A big fella is about as good of a guess as you can get. Just make sure you got food and adult beverages and donuts for him, and he's good.
Set. Yeah. I am set. Yeah. But it was great. I mean, I loved it. Yesterday was a lot of fun. Starting off the day, going to the scrimmage and getting inside Neyland, that was great. And then getting to hang out with you and the fam was so much fun, and hanging out with Roberto and playing some golf. And yeah, it was a great day.
It was. Yeah, it was. And that's one thing I love is it's you and a couple of my other buddies just legitimately in it's not just hanging out with me. It's my family wants to legitimately hang out with you too and be around you, whether it's like my mom, dad, sister, obviously Megan, and then it's the Memphis crew loves being around you if we're there. But it's like you and like maybe 3 or 4 of my other buddies, maybe 2 or 3 other ones. And it's like, it's not just hanging out with me. It's like my whole family. It's like, I haven't seen Georgia. I have not seen my sister. Like when I've gone out to my house, to my parents' house, I'll see her in passing or whatever. And of course, last night she decided to come downstairs and sit outside with us for 3 minutes. And it's like, because you're there. And it's he's going to like come check in. And then obviously my dad loves hanging out with you. I loved it that I'm down in the pool relaxing and I can hear my mom asking you work questions. Because she's getting like stuff remodels. Like everybody's got to get a piece of Kyler.
You got to get a piece of the big guy.
Yeah. So no, it was great. Well, we'll jump right into it. No, hold on. That's not fair. I do have to give you a legit shout out in golf. So Kyler has only been playing golf for about 2 or 3 years now. And
no, it's been longer than that. I don't always take it as seriously as I should.
You're right. It has been a little bit longer than that. I just feel like I feel like for me, the first time in my brain is when you and I and Lou and Austin went and played in Nashville somewhere. And it was probably February or March. It was real windy that day. And I forget where it was that we played, but that was like the first time I played with you. And so that's why it made it but then again, I guess that was probably 4 or 5 years ago. So anyways.
I mean, I think I got like my first set of clubs. It might've been like 2019 time frame.
Yeah.
So it's like 5 to 6 that I've been actually playing, but playing more than once or twice a year, probably like the 3 years ago, like you said.
Yeah. And that's just like, I've just seen you come a long way, and it's, like I see you that day and it's like, you're a beginner golfer. And then I see you another time. It's like, oh, it's improved a little bit. And then I see you on my bachelor party last year at Pinehurst, which there it was very much of like some really, really good shots. And then for you, some really frustrating shots. And so you've told me that was not this March, that was last March. And since then, you've maybe played, I think this year this was only your 3rd round of 2025. Maybe you played a couple other ones after Pinehurst. So, I mean, you've maybe played, we'll say, 8 rounds, 10 rounds since then?
Yeah, maybe.
And the jump that you took from then to this, which is me seeing you again, was crazy. I mean, when I saw you hit that 7-wood, which is a club you had never touched. It was a club that I found in one of my junk removals, and it's a good club. It's a Titleist 915 7-wood. It's just a little bit older, but it's still in good shape. And big fella took it out, and we're about to go play. And the only shot I see him hit on the range is this 7-wood, and buddy, yours it. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And that kind of just started the day of like, we went out there and you, in my opinion, were just like a totally different golfer. I mean, it was your wedges around the green were awesome. Roberto got your drive straightened out a little bit, but like I told you, your drive it wasn't something horrendous. And then you had some absolutely just pure, beautiful shots. So it was really cool to see that. It really was.
Yeah. And that helped the fun of the day, because I do sometimes get too frustrated with golf. So I had a good day yesterday on the course, and it made the afternoon that much better. Like I was just enjoying it being out there. Even if I had some bad shots, it was like those good ones were still sprinkled throughout. So it felt like a good day.
Yeah, no, you had a lot of them that were sprinkled out there that was darn good. There was something I was about. Oh, and of course, you're like helping me. I mean, we met when I was a sophomore. You were a freshman in high school, and like ever since then, being like really, really good friends for we've had multiple things in common. But I felt like the one thing that you and I have always been is like such teammates. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter like what we're doing. We're just very good together as teammates. And like you're standing over there and you're like, hey, watch the ball. Because like my biggest thing, I've had different stuff I'm just realizing I'm just talking about this like no one cares about my golf. But anyway, I grew up playing golf. I had some stints when I was like pretty decent, but then I've just had like these yips. Literally, like I remember 6, 7, 8 years ago, my yip was like dipping this shoulder, and then I've had the yips of like raising up, and like the whole swing feels great, and I like raise up at the very last second. And then the past couple of years, I just can't get off a tee box. I mean, it was like bad getting off tee boxes these past couple of years. I mean, I'm like Charles Barkley with the hitch in my swing.
It happens.
Yeah, it happens. But just like yesterday, you just being like, hey, and just, coaching it up, saying it up. And then, I hit some really good shots I was happy to build off yesterday. I've hit some really bad ones, but it's still I just don't get frustrated with it because I don't deserve to be good at golf because I don't practice and play enough.
Yeah. That's how you have to approach it because like you're going to drive yourself crazy if not.
I've seen people put the time and effort in and get better, like Bailey and Austin that
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those dudes started playing golf when I knew them, and I could go out there and never had to worry about beating them. I could just go out there, play my game, and beat them. And in a very short, quick 4 or 5 years, those dudes have gone out from starting golf and shooting in the hundreds. That both those boys are like mid to high 70s. I mean, like absolute stripers. And so they worked really hard at it. And then Logan, who's gotten so much better. But Logan's like, I go to the gym after work and then come home. And like that's kind of like I like to go to the gym and do that. But I'm talking to Logan, and Logan's like, I just spent 2.5 hours at Fairways and Greens. It's like, well, no wonder he's gotten better.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
So I just don't. I just don't beat myself up over it. But anyways, yeah, I'll stop rambling about the golf game. Awesome, we got super blessed. Now, here's the deal. So if it had been practice, I would have gone over there with you for a little bit, done some Reed Bacon walk-bys, checked everybody out, and then I would have dipped out when the media left, since I'm considered media, which is insane to me. But since it was just
big time now.
So, anyways, I don't even attempt to go over there with Kyler. He goes and does his thing. But I did call him. We kind of almost had a little pre-scrimmage talk about some stuff. Then he goes, he's there for a little bit, and then I call him, and I'm walking the neighborhood, and he's there, and we basically just got to discuss kind of what he was seeing and what was going on. And so it was some very good dialogue. It was basically me standing there next to him and having the exact same conversations we have when we're at practice together, but I just wasn't there. So I'll shut up. I want you to tell the people what your overall vibe of the scrimmage was.
I thought it was a good day. I thought it was a good work day. I thought the coaches didn't get too like lost in trying to have, these certain amount of reps for these individual people, or like, hey, we want to make it be a 10-play drive, right? Stuff like that. It's like when I first got there, they were just rotating a ton of people all throughout. And it was, one team came in, offense, defense, and then it was like 4 or 5 plays. Then it was just rotated in 4 or 5 plays. Then it's like you see the same guys, half of the guys are different from the other time. It's like they're just constantly doing that. And honestly, it lines up with what Heupel has done since he's got here. I mean, how many linebacker rotations have we seen every year? How many D-line rotations? How many DB rotations? How many offensive line rotations? Which is like the one position you don't typically rotate at all. I've seen them just rotate through games and put in different guys. So it's like, they just continue to do that. Yeah, I think it was very productive. I thought they were able to like really compete out there with each other, and almost kind of like test some different things. They had a lot of thud where you're not actually taking people to the ground, but then did some where it was like, hey, we're going tackle. So like you're taking them to the ground. So, hey, you're actually physically hitting each other so we can get those juices flowing. Cause there's times where it's like, if you're not going full speed, you're not used to it. You jump into a game and it's like, you haven't been practicing full speed yet. So I thought it was great. We talked about it, heard some like message board stuff where people were like, it was bad, it was sloppy, blah, 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 blah. It's like, I didn't get that at all. I was like, they're getting productive work in, and it's making a difference. And they even spent time doing special teams too. They had like the beginning period, it like started with special teams. We're working punt, we're working field goal, and then there was like a half kind of period where it was like we're working kickoffs, kickoff return. So it's like there's a reason for everything out there. So I was like, yeah, this is exactly what I would expect from a hypo run team in year 5.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, good. Well, I'm glad that you regurgitated that, because that's exactly what the conversation that you and I had. I guess you had probably been there, I don't know, maybe 45 minutes before I called. I don't even know how long you'd been there.
Maybe like an hour.
Okay. Yeah. So I knew you'd been there a while, and I mean, I could almost hear it in your voice when you first picked up and talked. Like, I was like, he seems like he's in a good mood and is probably pleased with what he's seen, compared to like you answer, and I can kind of hear like, he's probably seen some stuff he's not pumped with, or he's discouraged. I think people forget that. I think people forget it's like he played there. This is his alma mater. Like, he cares as much, if not more, than others. And so you do still have those like pissed off or frustrations if you're seeing stuff you don't like. But yeah, so then I was asking you, I was like, okay, how's this? How's that look? And, I asked you about the quarterbacks, and then I would ask you about specific players and all that stuff. And we'll get into some of that. But I just want to reiterate that, like, when we were talking, and every time I asked about a certain person or a group or whatever, like, you were pleasantly surprised, and like we're happy with what you saw.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And listen, I've been a part of bad scrimmages. I've seen bad scrimmages, and you know what I mean? Like, I know what they look like. I remember being a part of bad scrimmages when we were not a good team,
yeah.
when I was on the team. So it's like, that was fun. It was fun to watch. It was fun to kind of look at these guys, eye them up, see what kind of size they are, and watch some dudes fly around. Like, it was a good day.
Yeah. Well, I think go ahead and pop that in. And if we're going to start in the trenches, we're going to start offensive line. That's your they go away. Oh, there it goes.
There you go.
That's your specialty. I think we just go ahead and get this one out of the way and be like, David Sanders, what we've talked about, what we've seen, what we've heard. Knock on wood, Kyler. Sounds like we got us another official 5-star.
Yeah, no, it's real. Getting a chance to like watch David Sanders play out there, and I mean, he's all of 6'6", 300 pounds now, and he's athletic as heck. He takes up a massive amount of space. He doesn't get overextended. He worked well in like games and twists whenever he was like with his guards. And man, there were times where, he had some pulls, because like our tackles pull a lot on run plays. There were some pulls where it's like, I loved his speed getting around and getting up to a linebacker. And it's like, man, this guy is massive and athletic, and watching him in his pass set and everything like that, like, it reminds me, now I'm not going to say like, oh, this is what he's going to be, but it reminds me of like Tyron Smith. Like, when I've watched Tyron Smith and like his actual film and stuff, just like the way he moves about. Now, he's probably not as massive as Tyron Smith is. Tyron's more like 6'8". And I've never seen longer limbs on an individual in my life. I actually got to see him in person. It was crazy. But yeah, I mean, I'm like very excited about David Sanders moving forward. I'm excited about him. I think if he continues to just familiarize himself with the offense, get better with his technique, do all the stuff, it's like, this guy is going to give us legitimate snaps this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
we'll start.
Very excited about that. And then
you said legitimate start, but I mean legitimate snaps, but you mean start, like he's our starter.
Yeah. But for the offensive line in totality, going into this year, it was very much like, hey, you're losing 4 of your starters. which is like, yeah, that's a big spot. We had a very nice like interior, as it was a lot of veteran guys, but the guys they have in there right now are doing well. Like they've got, the transfers and Moy and Piddleton that are working in there. And then they got Jesse Perry and Shamgod. Like they're all like working in those interior spots. And they're rotating. They're playing different sides. They're playing guards. Different guys are playing center. Everybody's getting experience on the interior so that if someone rolls an ankle, if someone goes, like, we've got somebody in there. And it's like, when they're practicing, it's like, okay, maybe Piddleton's at center and you got, a Moy or Mo on one side, you got Jesse Perry on the other. And then the next series, you got Jesse Perry on the other guard and Sham at the guard, and then Satterwhite. And then you got Satterwhite with Mo and Jesse Perry. And then so it's just like they're just like rotating around and almost like getting a chance to like play multiple positions, because it's still like up in the air right now. Like you're still trying to like solidify, hey, you're the best left guard for us, and you're the best right guard for us, and you're the best center for us. But I think it'll just continue throughout the season like they always do. It's like, let's throw guys in there, let's see what they can do. But just watching it made me feel good about like depth. Like that's what I was worried about. But then you actually watch the guys, and then you actually look at the depth chart and you see like, junior, redshirt sophomore, senior, junior. And you see that a lot, like all across the board on this team. So it's like, I see a ton of experience as we're going into it. Yeah, we got some guys that haven't played with us before, but they still have football experience. And then when it gets to the defensive side,
well, before we jump defense real quick, let me interject if I can. So a couple. Well, first off, to start where we were just a few short years ago, it was like, who's going to be our tackles? And you had John Campbell and Jeremiah Crawford both transfer in, and it's like, okay, which one's them is going to do it? And then it was like a rotation, and then it was like, well, is Cooper going to be healthy? We know Cooper's there if he's healthy. And you had like Darnell Wright early on. We did get a little spoiled, I'm not going to say by their play all the time, but knowing that we were going to have, Jerome Carvin first 2 years, and then you got Spraggs. And it's like you knew the names, but then you were worried about what was behind them. And it does feel like now, at least names-wise, that we're comfortable with as size, speed athletes is a lot. And I'll be honest, like one of the conversations that we had yesterday, I called you, was to mention Jason Perry's name because I heard Josh Ward talking about it. And he made a comment on Sports Talk, was like, hey, I'll be surprised if it's not Hurd. And I don't know if it's Wendell Mo or Moy. I think someone said it was Moy, but I don't know because I was calling him Wendell Mo, but I don't know if it's Mo.
Yeah, I think it's Mo.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. So you had Lance, Wendell, Sam Pendleton, Jason Perry, David Sanders, and Josh Ward. Jesse Perry, yeah. And Josh Ward was like, hey, I'll be surprised if that's not the case. And I was like, whoa. Like I haven't heard of Perry or thought of him since you and I broke down his film. And then I was like going back to the archives of the brain here, and I'm like, yo, like he's one of the guys that we thought like had potential with athleticism and things of that nature. But if I'm not mistaken, he was coming from like a wing T or triple option offense, and we loved like his pulling and all those things. But you and I were like, whoa, he might have a little ways to go for, pass protection and things of that nature. And then I hear that, and I'm telling you that on the drive over, and you're like, really? Like, okay, all right. And then it's like, holy crap, he's only a redshirt freshman. And we're thinking like, well, what about our boy, like, Max Anderson, who we loved as recruits. And I'm like, Gage Ginther's a guy that we loved, and William Satterfield. And so we're thinking about these names, and I think we're excited to see how they progress because we potentially like them as recruits. But I bring that up to be like, well, like, and this is just us talking yesterday. And I was like, well, what about, they probably leave after this year if they're not playing. And you go, hey, dude, if you think about it, like this is Lance Hurd's, like this is big deal. Like, and we're like, yeah, I guess you're right. This is kind of his quote unquote contract year, because I forget that he played at LSU. So if he goes to LSU, Tennessee, and then has a big year this year, like he obviously is an NFL talent, so he could be gone. And then you got the left tackle open, and it's like, well, does one of those guys take it? Does David Sanders take it? And I'm saying all this to say it makes me feel really good about the depth and the pieces.
Yeah.
We haven't necessarily seen them do it on Saturday, but I'm just talking about from a personal perspective of you and I as fans watching. It's like, at least these are guys that we know that were, 4-star or high-level 3-star guys that we, with our eyes, liked what we saw from them. And so that's what gives us hope to be like, hey, they're going to continue that upward trajectory. And when they do get their chance, they're going to be pretty good. And so I just bring that in because I thought it was a neat conversation. And I told you yesterday, I thought it was a great point you made about Lance Hurd. Because I'm sitting here thinking, we're going to have him for another year. And it's like, I don't know. If he plays really well, he could be gone. And sometimes there's nothing better, whether you're in college or in the NFL, when you got one of your best players going into a contract year, because money is a very big incentive, and these dudes will play their ass off. The Tennessee Titans benefited from Albert Haynesworth going into contract year, and he was the best D lineman, one of the best defenders in all the NFL. And that was the year that I think Titans went 14-2, got the first round bye, and then I was at the game and we choked it against the Ravens. And so it's like, then he gets his money, goes off, and basically doesn't really have to play again. And I thought it was a great point by you. If that's what incentivized Lance Hurd, we might get a great left tackle play this year.
I think it's now part of the zeitgeist in college. Like, it's like paydays are incentivizing guys, now. Yeah. And I love it. Like, sure, if that's what it takes, like, to get really good play out of you, like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was just a good conversation there, and I think the only other thing that I wanted to shout out from our conversation is someone had mentioned to you that, like, Sam Pendleton is like a 40-year-old man already, and which you love to hear that for an offensive lineman. I mean, if you can get anybody like that on your football team, it's great, because you just know they're going to be super mature, they're going to work hard, they're going to do exactly what you need to do, and that rubs off on other people.
It definitely does.
Go ahead, whatever you want to say about D-line.
So like on the defensive side, I was like, saying the older guys on the O-line, even though we haven't seen them, they've got experience. The defensive line and the defense in general, there's so much experience, like so many names that you read off and you're like, yeah, he played. Yeah, he played. Yeah, he played here, not elsewhere, here. So it's like, I go down the list of the D linemen, and it's like, you got David Hobbs, you got Jordan Ross, you got Tyree Weathersby, you got Joshua Joseph, Bryson Eason, Caleb Herring, Tyree West, Jackson Moy, Dominique Bailey. All of these guys have a ton of reps in our defense on our team, and that's 9 names right there in the decent. It makes me love every year we go into this, and every year we talk about our defense, and every year we're like, our defensive line's gonna be sick. Again, I'm just like, I think Rodney Garner might be the best coach on our whole team. Like, this guy has put dudes out every single year that are monsters. He's done it with random transfers that we're getting from other places that don't get to play where they're at, and then come in here and ball out. Like, he's doing it with the 5- and 4-star recruits from high school. He's doing it with anybody. Whoever comes into his D-line room becomes a better player. And that's just the God's honest truth. And it's like, those guys, I know how they play. I know who they are. It's like, I don't have to like watch and look around and be like, let me study Dominique Bailey. It's like, I've seen the guy. We watch games and rewatch games. Like, I know what he's about. I don't have to watch Tyree West. I don't have to watch Bryson Eason. I know what these dudes are about.
Yeah. And that was another point in our conversation yesterday while you're sitting there watching it and I'm hitting a walk. And I said, hey, how does the D line look? And it's like, because we know that we can basically count on them. I mean, the guy has pretty much gotten production out of our D line ever since he's been here. Even our first year, when he's running out there, 4 dudes, and they can't come off the field, of Caleb Tremblay, Malcolm, was it Malcolm Butler, or is it who was?
No, I think it was Malcolm and Amari.
Yeah, and then you had Roman Harrison and Tyler Barron, and that was it. Like those dudes had to play almost every snap. And I love Butler. I just didn't know if it was Malcolm or Michael Butler because I always forget about the Titans corner / Patriots corner.
Yeah.
But anyways, I love those dudes. And you think about it, he's getting production out of those dudes. And that was year 1. We're going into year 5. And I say, how does the D-line look at practice? Because if you're saying they're doing great, then that's like, okay, that's awesome. I know they're going to do great, but then I'm worried about the offensive line. But you felt like it was a very good give and take, which makes me think, and this is what we talked about, if the D-line looked good, but they weren't overtaking it, that means we've got some pretty good players on the offensive line because you've already said we know what these guys are on the D-line. So if our offensive line can withstand it, that's a really, really good sign.
Yeah.
But anyways, the only other thing about D-line is I'm so excited and ready to watch those guys continue to eat. And this is a little embarrassing, but it's funny. So I try to be pretty good about putting stuff out on our social medias when I hear it, and there's different things that I think are very interesting. And I listened to what Rodney Garner said about Dominic Bailey, and I was really pumped to hear that, but I was almost like, dang it, I lost my opportunity because no joke, 2 nights before that, I was on Xbox Live, and of course I'm on there with my buddies, and we were talking about the Vols and talking about how things are look, and everybody, well, the couple guys on there who are knowledgeable and they know Tennessee sports, and a couple of them that know football really well. And of course, it's going down the line of this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy. I said, dude, you haven't even mentioned Bryson Eason was mentioned, so I didn't have to bring that one. I said, bro, you didn't even mention Dominic Bailey. And I said, I thought Dominic Bailey was just as good as Bryson Eason and some of these other dudes. If you go back, I think, if my memory serves, it was the Alabama game or it was one of the other bigger games last year. He had one of the best performances of the D-line. And that's with Omar Norman-Lott and James Pierce on the field. But I feel like as fans that don't go back and rewatch it, they want to name out a guy like a Bryson Eason because he had to play against Ohio State. They wanted to name going into last year Tyree West because he had the good bowl game. And you would go on social media and see the different Vol accounts and like, oh, big year from Tyree West this year. It's like, yeah, Tyree West is a good player. He's been a good player since he's been here. But it's like they want to name the names before they name the guys that are the real production behind it.
Yeah.
And so I literally said to one of the guys, I said, bro, you just mentioned 8 dudes and you didn't mention one of the best ones in Dominic Bailey. I said, I think he's going to be awesome this year. And I kid you not, it's 2 days later and Rodney Garner says that. And I'm like, dang it, like that validates what I said and that's awesome, but I didn't get to put it out before he said something. So it's like, it's like, well, you can't say anything now because it looks like you're just saying what Rodney Garner said.
You're just copying off him.
Right, yeah. But I have witnesses. I got witnesses that I pulled up his name, but this is the embarrassing part. I had thought that I almost know for a fact that I had mentioned Dominic Bailey's name about a player that I really like. And I couldn't remember what podcast it was, either at the end of last year, and we're talking about like, hey, the finish of the year, what we're looking at the next year, or our spring 4 or 5. Yeah. So I'm at the Y working out, listening to our old podcast again, like trying to skip through to hear me make a comment. And I just like, after a while of doing this, like, dude, this is brutal. I do not want to listen to our stuff from last year. While I'm just to find a clip. All I want to do was find the clip, screenshot it, and put it next to what Rodney Garner said. But I didn't. I was like,
Yeah, watching yourself over and over in the public space.
Well, I was not watching myself, but it was over next to my workout logbook where I write everything down. But yeah, someone could have easily like gone over there to like grab a weight and like. Is dude really listening and watching himself? Like, get a grip.
To work out. Yeah, that's what
yeah. Oh, goodness. All right, click that down. Talk about the bright spots of some of the stuff you saw.
Yeah, so this is just like guys that I did see pop that I was like, okay. Like it wasn't the Dominique Baileys. It wasn't the names that maybe everyone's thinking about and is like, hey, what about that guy? What about that guy? But these are like, oh, who is that number? Let me confirm. Like, now that I see that, I want to shout him out. So on the offensive side of the ball, I got a few guys. One was Travis Smith Jr. He is a freshman wide receiver. Okay. Number 1 took Dante's number, and he looks like Dante. Like, he is 6'3", 195, tall, lanky, speed. Like, he is the next line of the tall, speedy wide receivers that we've been dealing with, over these years. So, like, watching him move and how smooth he was, his ability to, like, get past the DB and stack him. I'm like, I like this. I haven't seen this guy. I haven't seen this guy play a lot. I'm like, all right, I see something in him. I see something that we can take advantage of. I feel like he can eventually be a deep threat. It's not, I'm not talking about Mike Matthews. I'm not talking about Braylon Staley. Everybody knows about those guys. This was like, who is that? Wait, is that? I was like, I literally did a second take. I was like, hold on, Dante's not on the team anymore. Who is this? It literally looked like him. But I thought he had some good speed, just shot routes out there. So I was like, I gotta shout this guy out on the pod.
Good.
So wide receiver, then a running back that I saw, I literally thought it's kind of the same thing. I was like, is that Deshaun Bishop? And I was like, no, that's not Deshaun. That guy's a little bit bigger than Deshaun. Like, he's a little taller than him. And it was not 18, but 19, because I thought it was like the same number. And it's Dwayne Morris, who wasn't looking for him, when I went to the practice. But then watching him out there and his ability to kind of read his blocks and stay behind his blockers, especially when we do those pull plays, and he's patient with it. And he's got this quick twitch that I love, that it's just like the little as he gets through the holes and through the line. And then he had a great 15 to 20 yard run where he follows his blocker to the outside. He cuts back inside of his blocker, so he gets a block. He's getting up to safety, and he runs over a safety. And I'm like, heck yeah. And everybody starts hooting and hollering and yelling for him. And I'm like, this guy, we almost every year that we've gone into the season, there's always been one running back where everybody's like, that's RB1. That's the guy with the most experience who's done well. Now, who is going to be the second one because of Heupel's offense, the way it works, how fast it is? It's like, hey, we need that second guy. We need that guy to step up. And it'd be great if we had 3. If we had 4. The more the merrier. And the question is always all right, we got Deshaun Bishop. Is it going to be Peyton Lewis or is it going to be somebody else? And this guy's making a good name for himself. I think he can be someone that gets a lot of reps, that really transitions well. And he does kind of match the profile of running backs that we've had over the Heupel tenure, and we talk about it, looking for that, beast of a back would make this offense crazy. And I think we're still searching for that beast of a running back, but there is a Dylan Sampson, Jabari Small, these guys, smaller, quicker, one cuts, can juke dudes, catch out of the backfield. That's very important for the offense. So it was cool. It was cool to see.
Yeah, I think that was one that we're talking, and I'm kind of hitting you. I basically let you go, and before I start asking questions about certain players, and DeJuan Morris was one of the ones that you had mentioned, and I literally start going back in the archives of the brain. I'm like, hey, he's a freshman, I think. And you're like, I think so. We looked it up. I'm like, yeah, that's right. I said, if I'm not mistaken, I remember watching his highlight film and liking it. Probably more, I'm not going to sit here and tell you we loved it and we're going crazy about it, but it was one that we liked and saw some promise and saw some good we saw some good bones that could pop up and be like, hey, there's some stuff that we really like here. I don't think either of us are going to sit here and tell you that we saw him like play in year one. And I guess we still don't know if he's playing year one. We just saw that there was some really good pop. But yeah, you said that. And I was like, man, that is great to hear because when I went back to have to listen to those old pods and I was listening for the Dominic Bailey quote, I listened to the one where you didn't do it with me and I did it by myself. And I was talking about what I wanted to see out of the orange and white game. And even then I mentioned I want to see the running backs because I do not feel comfortable going into a season without 3, potentially 4 dudes that I like because your backup's going to become your starter potentially one game. Your third is going to become your backup. Then you're one ankle roll away from your fourth guy having to come in and tote the rock. And so I
still believe we lost that Ohio State game in a good amount of part because Dylan Sampson was hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. I know you bring that up a lot and I always forget about that, but
like he didn't play. Like go look at it. Like he got like 8 plays in the whole game. It's like
and I know you're not
SEC player of the year.
Yeah. And I know you're not sitting here saying we're going to win that game if we have him. You're just saying it helps us a lot if we have him.
He was our offense. It wasn't Nico.
Right. So, anyways, we're talking, and like I said, you mentioned him. I said, man, that's great. I said we love Deshaun Bishop and how he plays. You got Star Thomas, who I personally haven't seen anything really of because I didn't watch any Duke last year. I asked you about him, and you're like, yeah, I'm not sure, but he's a guy that's played collegiate ball, so it's like you think he's at least going to be serviceable at worst. I mean, this is a guy that the Tennessee coaches went out and got. So there's something that they see. And it's like, okay, then who's the third? It's like everyone talks about Peyton Lewis. We talk about Peyton Lewis. I'll say it until I'm blue in the face. I've never seen a guy, for me, in person in pads like that at the running back position. I mean, when we were down on the field before the Florida game, I'm sorry for continuing to say the same thing, repeat myself, say it over and over again. But the dude looked like the Terminator. I mean, he is put together, and you know how fast he is. So it's like you just want to squeeze him and be like, can we put this all together? And I think you made the best point yesterday to me on the phone of, yeah, he's got the speed, and yeah, he's got the size, and he does run hard, but it's like he doesn't know his identity yet of what kind of runner he wants to be. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that makes me nervous that we even have to have that conversation because to me, running back should be a very natural thing. You get the rock, and you just do. You just go. Your body tells you what you are. You're a one cut. You got enough speed to get by some people, and then you're going to pound somebody. You're going to wiggle and shake in the open field. I mean, everybody that we've had at Tennessee, we know what kind of runner they were. And so my buddy Steven from that he and I had worked together in college and stay in touch now. He's a great, great dude. He's a physical therapist now, and I got to give him a shout out because he's helped me so many times over the years with my back and all that. But he texted me yesterday and was like, I woke up to a text. He's like, you going to scrimmage today? I was like, no, I'm not. And like the two people he was like, I want to hear about is Travis Smith Jr., which you mentioned, which was great because I didn't even ask you to talk about him. That's just someone you said. And then Stephen wanted to hear about Peyton Lewis. And so I just bring him up because we're talking about running backs right now. It's like I'm still excited to see what's there, but it sounds like after yesterday there was nothing that left you either one way or the other about him.
Yeah, there wasn't necessarily anything that was like, oh, I know what Peyton Lewis is. Like the point you just made is like his identity as a running back. It's in the same vein as if people could think of it like this, like if Derrick Henry is running the ball around the edge and there is a safety on an angle towards Derrick Henry, can you guys guess what move Derrick Henry is going to put on that safety?
Everyone knows.
I bet 90% of the people would guess a stiff arm and be like, that's what he's going to do to him. because that's Derrick Henry's identity. Yeah, that safety knows it's going to be a stiff arm, but good luck.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter if he knows. We've seen it many times of guys who know the stiff arm's coming. It doesn't matter. But would Saquon Barkley do that if it was in the same situation? Probably not. He's probably not doing a stiff arm. He's probably either trying to outrun him or a nice spin move. He loves a good spin move.
Yeah.
So it's like running backs have their vibe, their feel, their like what they do out there on the field to make an impact. And you have to find that. And I don't know if Peyton has necessarily found that with himself, where it's like, I'm going to be a Derrick Henry back. I'm going to do arm tackles. I want to set up arm tackles, and I want to stiff arm people. And that's what Derrick Henry does great. He sets up attempted tackles on him where people can't get their heads across, and he stiff arms.
Yeah.
If he can do that, he's like, I can run through arms all day.
Yeah.
Like, I just got to get this guy set up just a little bit where his head's behind me and I'm past him.
Yeah.
So it's just maybe understanding that part of yourself, like what works best for you.
And maybe Peyton Lewis is just what we saw of him last year. Maybe he doesn't really take another step in his overall running repertoire, but maybe he's just a great hand the ball off to him and he's just going to run as hard as he can, basically straight.
Or he does. I mean, I think that's the best option for him is that, hey, let me make defenders try and arm tackle me. Like, that's how he should set it up. He shouldn't be like, let me make defenders miss. Let me make defenders arm tackle me, because you don't have to move around as much to make the defender arm tackle you. You got to get him off of his cleats to make him miss you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, if I can just get him to try and arm tackle me, he can't take me down because I have so much power and weight behind me. It's not going to work. So it's like, that's why Derrick Henry does it that way. He's like, I don't have to move that crazy quick to make someone fall over. I can just get through them.
Yeah.
If they're not squared up on me. So just food for thought.
Yeah. Well, listen, I got to tee you up on this one. So the other person that you talked about, and I don't mean tee you up as in technical. I mean, I'm putting that ball on that tee for you to go out there and absolutely rip it. And so it's a guy that we loved his highlight film.
Yeah.
Loved his highlight film. One of our favorite highlight films. Matter of fact, I told you when we were talking about him yesterday, I said, bro, that was one of my favorite highlight films. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, there's been some pub going around about him already. So I guess whether the media have seen it or some coaches have told some different media people and they've kind of run with it, because I know some of my buddies that are all into the message boards and all into the different stuff, his name has popped off because they were asking me about him. And at that time I said, I love his highlight film. I wouldn't be surprised if he's, showing out in practice. But you said yesterday that Deshaun Bram looked awesome.
Yeah.
And I immediately said, tell me more. And I said, that is awesome to hear. And the only thing that I did pump the brakes on a little bit, I said, you and I went to practice a couple of years ago. One of the clips that we had produced was us talking about Ethan Davis, and he maybe didn't do nearly what we thought he would as a true freshman, which is nothing against him because it's very hard to play as a true freshman. But we did see him as a true freshman already be like, he looks the part, he moves well, he catches well. And I'm not saying anything that like, oh, he hasn't done what we thought or he's been a bust or anything like that. No, like, you and I understand it takes a while to get on the field, and then he's got other older guys in front of him. So I'm just saying that we've kind of had this tight end love before.
Yeah.
And so I hope that doesn't discredit anything. But anyways, tee you up to let you talk about what you saw with Deshaun Brown.
Yeah. I mean, after I saw him and moving around and what he was doing, I was like, the best position group on our team is the tight end group. Like, with Miles there, with Ethan there, and now with him, I'm like, this is a three-headed monster of tight ends that no matter who's in there, I feel great about. I mean, we saw the production out of Miles and out of Ethan and what they can do already. And then I see this, and he played a good amount in the scrimmage with multiple sides of people, different quarterbacks as well. And he just continued to show up. He continued to be the guy that multiple people were throwing to, that they were hitting on play action passes, that they were hitting on deep crossers, that they hit on a seam route for a touchdown. Like, he was there. He was catching all the balls thrown to him. He was making moves after the catch, making breaking tackles. He's pulling up in the line, blocking on linebackers. Like, I was just like, okay. And like, when I first saw him, where's number 7? When I first saw him, and I think it was like a catch first that I saw, and like a good like upfield cut and get off. I was like, all right, Ethan, like, that's good. And then I was like, that's not Ethan. He looks the same. Like, he is that size. He's big already as a freshman. And then the way he moved in his athleticism, like, he's almost ahead of what we saw like a fall camp of Ethan's freshman year. Like, he's already like past where Ethan was. And I'm like, all right, like, this is going to be awesome. Like, Ethan and Miles already have all the experience, and he has this athleticism and kind of like freakness to him that he just gets more of that experience. And it's like the things that Heupel has done with the tight end position in his offenses, it makes me very excited about good tight ends. Like, how important those guys are for our entire offense. The different run schemes that we have, the different jumbo packages where we bring in multiple tight ends, the different play action passes where it's like, hey, the goal is to get the ball to the tight end here. It's just like, I don't think you see that a lot in offenses nowadays.
Yeah. So multiple things. I think I said Deshaun Bram, but it's Deshaun, I think is what it is. So I want to be better about that. So Deshaun, is it Bram or Bram?
I would guess Bram, maybe, because there's an E at the end. Yeah. I don't know.
Okay, so we'll go with Deshaun. But sorry, correcting that now. I forgot my train of thought. Yeah. So once again, I was talking with Jack, not from Rocky Top Insider, but my buddy Jack Gillespie. And we were talking and hearing about some of the other guys in another group chat he's in. They're all like worried and being negative about the wide receivers, which we haven't talked about wide receivers really yet as a group. I mean, I know you talked about Travis Smith Jr., but I love that Jack brought this up. He's like, one thing people forget is like, we don't use a ton of wide receivers. And if you think about it, it's true. I mean, you got your 3 that they use a lot, and then the other one's going to be your tight ends. There's times where we got as many tight ends on the field as we do receivers. Yeah. Because it is so important, especially if we are going fast, that he likes to have a guy that he can count on to come in and add a number in the run game, or is still good enough to catch a pass in the passing game, and
also be a nice blocker in the passing game.
Bingo, exactly. And so, and I'm not using that to discredit that. We need more receivers, or we don't, whatever that. I'm not getting into that whole topic. I know people feel like we haven't done a good enough job, or we don't have enough depth, or they're worried about that position. Like, personally, for me, I'm not worried about it yet. I'll worry about it when it needs to be worried about, and I don't think that's yet. Yeah. I still trust some of the guys that they have out there and who they've brought in. And like I said, you need 3, is what they're going to play a lot. And if there's injuries, then you need, 4 and 5. But my point to that is they're not sitting there rotating 6 receivers a game. It just doesn't really happen. And I thought it was, that was a neat perspective you gave yesterday when you said, hey, I guessed it. And you said, who the best group is on this whole team. And I said, well, probably tight ends. And you're like, yeah. So that's great to hear. It's such a good weapon to hear. And that was my thing. I just want to bring up that point about when it comes to the receivers and the tight ends, like, it gives you a little bit more flexibility in the wide receiver room. And like I said, I don't want to dive into my defense of Heupel and what they've done recruiting. We haven't brought these guys in. It's like, dude, they went out and got Mike Matthews. He's a 5-star. They went out and got Braylon Staley. He's a high-level 4-star. They got Chris Brasley, who was one of the number 1 receivers in the portal. He was a big target. So it's like, listen, they've got him there. Now they just have to get him to produce. But you can't say they haven't brought anybody there.
Yeah, I love it's been fucking 2 years since the Biletnikoff winter, guys. Like, what
2. Well, it's been 1 year. This is gonna be this is gonna be the second.
It's like let's pump our brakes, okay? Like, all right, like this guy knows how to get wide receivers, okay?
Yeah.
And then the last one, just a bright spot on the defensive side of the ball. I was mentioning earlier how much like veteran experience we have. Like you go through the names too. Oh, I did went through them on the D line. Linebackers, you got Arian, you got T-Lander, you got Spillman. They all have playing experience. You go to the DBs, you're going through just all the names. You're like, look at every single one of these guys has played. And someone that I, wasn't looking for before the practice, but then noticed while I was out there is Jordan Burns, number 11. First off, he looks the part. I mean, buddy is ripped. Like all the linebackers, they love it. They roll up their jerseys, and I'm totally for it because I did the exact same thing when I played at practice. I was rolling that jersey, letting the beer belly out. So they roll up their jerseys, and like all of them, just six packs all across the board, just ripped up. And he was just flying around. Like I noticed him because I'm like, oh, there he is making that tackle. Oh, there he is jumping on that pile. Oh, there he is in the backfield. I was like, all right, this guy is like flying around the field, putting in the effort, making the plays, being the linebacker that he should be. Linebackers, like you got to be involved on almost every play. Like you're in the middle, okay? You can get to the spot almost better than anybody else. So it's like it's almost part of the position. And he took it to heart, and he was doing that. Like I was just like, all right, I'm seeing 11. I'm seeing 11 again. I'm seeing 11 again. So I was like, all right, I got to shout this guy out. He's running around. He's giving effort. He's making tackles when he gets there. Like that's what I like to see.
Yeah.
So.
And I was pumped that you mentioned him, and I told you that yesterday when I was asking you, like, hey, is anybody stuck out? Or, I would say, what about this guy? What about this guy? And I just said linebackers besides – or I don't even think I said linebackers besides him. I think you brought him up, and then we started talking about linebackers. So I don't even think I probed you on LBs. You just mentioned him. And my exact words were, I said, wow, that is great news. I said, because I remember you and I watched this highlight film. Once again, I just looked him up here. I thought he was a 3-star. But it's saying that he was a 4-star according to two different publications. And I remember watching him and being happy with, pretty much what I saw. But there's not many linebacker films that you and I have watched over the past, we'll say 3 years, that we haven't thought that there was at least something there. I know that Jaden Harmon is the one that I absolutely loved that just came through. And he's probably my favorite. But all the other ones, whether it was T-Lander, Jalen Smith, Arian Carter, thank you, Edwin Spillman. Like we've really enjoyed all of them, and so I thought maybe you would mention Edwin, which you didn't necessarily mention him yesterday, but I'm still very excited about him. But so when you said Jordan Burns, I'm like, wow. So you got Arian Carter, you got T-Lander, and you got Spillman, and now you gave me a fourth. And so it's like if those are the four rotational pieces, why these young bucks are playing special teams and learning and growing, that's how you build a successful team. Jalen Smith played for us last year. He ends up transferring and leaving. It's like, okay, no big deal because we got the other cog coming right behind you. And it's like Jordan Burns showed up. He got in the weight room. He did his thing. And now it's like potentially his time, and we'll see how much he makes of his opportunity. But I personally was pumped when you said that because I felt like that gives us 4 horsemen going into the season that we can kind of count.
It does, and it's like that linebacker position. It's almost the same with like the running back. It's like, hey, I want 4 because I don't know what might happen. You guys play a lot. Someone might get hurt. We might need to rotate. But like, everyone's on the same page. Arian Carter and Jeremiah T-Lander are the linebackers. They have the most experience. They played on this system the most. They're going to be the 2. And it's like, all right, Spillman and Jordan Burns and Harmon, like who's going to be the other ones, right? How are we going to work this out? And I think Spillman's got a little bit of a jump on them just with the fact that he got to play last year more than they did. But I was just like, oh, okay, like I'm seeing you, right? I didn't come in here going, I'm going to look for number 11, but now I'm seeing him a lot. I'm seeing him make plays a lot. Good.
Yeah. Last thing, two things for me. I forgot I should have shouted him out earlier. I want to shout out Ethan that played with us yesterday. He's Ethan's the best, man. He's works at Holston. He was a college golfer at Carson Newman, and I've always really enjoyed. I mean, I've kind of known him because he's grown up out at Holston, so you see these people all the time. But he and I always started connecting and talking a couple of years back, there's probably not an interaction that I just have not left just smiling and cracking up because we've joked and laughed, and I've loved playing golf with him. He's a hell of a golfer, and it was he even got to, you guys met yesterday, and I didn't think he was gonna. Well, I didn't think anything of it. I thought he was just like, oh, here's one of Reed's buddies, but he's like, hey, big fan of the show. I enjoy listening. I'm like, oh yeah, like we have talked about the pod before. He does listen, so it's like I got to give a shout out to Ethan, and then lastly, we just went an hour. And we didn't talk about quarterbacks, and there is a quarterback competition going. And I'll just be honest with you, I'm not going to say anything about it. And I know that the big fellow who is the former Vol is you're probably not going to get anything out of him because he's not going to do anything to jeopardize his team. And you guys will just find out who the quarterback is when Heupel announces it. So I'm just going to
find out. You will find out when Syracuse finds out.
Yeah.
How's that?
Yeah. Exactly.
That's when you are safe to know. Is when Syracuse knows. So that's how I always see it. It's like, listen, I care more about the actual team than giving any information.
Yeah. And there's just no way to. I mean, you and I talked about it, but there's no way to like us talk about what happened yesterday or your thoughts without potentially maybe leading a path. And we're just not
Exactly. So I'm not going to, we're good. I showed you some bright spots, talked about some trenches that, people were worried about that offensive line. So got some good nuggets.
Go Vols.
It's great.
It was great seeing you. I'll talk to you in a little bit.
All right. Okay. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. If you are watching, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a comment. Love the comments. If you're listening, rate, review, download, re-download. Follow us on all the listening platforms. Follow us on social media as well. Find all the links down below in the description. Really appreciate you guys. Best fans in the world. Cannot wait for this season to start. And as always, go Vols.